Hello and welcome to LAT's weekly market insights. This week we're going to mix it up a little bit and we're going to focus in on just one chart alone. And we're going to concentrate on euro dollar. Now, euro dollar, of course, massively fundamentally driven asset. However, of late and in particular this week, it has provided some brilliant technical trading opportunities. And all I want to do is have a walk back through this chart and just replay and look at some of the setups but unfolded and presented themselves as this week developed. So the first thing we're going to do is start out here on this 4-hour chart, and we're going to place our primary support and resistance. And we're going to try and concentrate purely on our primary analysis today, absolutely critical towards becoming a successful trader and analyst. And we're just going to look through these levels here, and I'm picking out key support levels. I have 3 touches, and most recently we're seeing the price respect those levels, and we can see through here eyes drawn towards this key resistance level up here. Now, what's significant about the level up through here is the 119 handle, that big psychological round number. And as we walk through this chart, we'll see those round numbers coming into effect and having a significant impact on this market. Back down to this previous support through here, okay, we see multiple touches. And again, most recently, the rejection of that level. And ultimately down to this low down through here, in and around that 116 handle. Okay, so our key 4-hour levels. Now we're going to pop ourselves down into the hourly, and we're just going to start to have a look and see how this market started to unfold. And the first thing that started to present itself was this trend line coming up through here, and it gave us a lovely 3-touch trend line. Okay, this 3-touch trend line here, starting from the lows, taking that first, second, third touch. And as it progressed higher and moved up through this uptrend, we saw this channel start to develop. And the trend within this market, let's clear these circles up. The trend within this market can easily be identified by just simply running through our higher highs and higher lows. Now, if I start from the lows down through here, small little swing to get us going, start off with, then we start to gain some momentum and we start to see euro dollar run away. Now, of course, before we see this higher low confirmed, and I put this circle around it, we must first see a new higher high. So this higher high coming up through here, waiting for a break of that key resistance level. This market from here pulled back, broke through there, producing that new higher high, and then we were looking for a move back down in towards this trend line to try and find ourselves a trading opportunity. Now, sat in and around that trend line, draw our eyes to is that psychological round number, the 118.50. Now, most recently through here, let's just set that more accurately. That 118.50 most recently has been broken, but we can see these rejections back in time from the 5th of November, 6th of November, small little retest here on the 16th of November. So could we see ourselves back into that round number? That would also be in line with a 3rd touch of this trend line. And if we introduce Fibonacci retracements from that previous higher low up to the current high, we were also going to find ourselves back into that buy zone in and around that 50 to 61% region. So this became a really strong confluence zone, expectation for a significant number of buyers to come into the market at this point here. As we play this through, we see this market drift down in towards the support level. And this is where we get the opportunity from here to start to move into those smaller time frames to try and find ourselves an execution. What we don't want to do, as previously discussed in previous market insights, is trade a bounce off of this level. We want to go searching confirmation. Now, of course, we've got good trend confirmation, Fibonacci, round number, trend line confirmation, but nothing will replace the break of a nice clean resistance level as confirmation to go long. So what I've done here is just pop ourselves down into that 15-minute time frame, but we can see a little bit more detail. And if we scan our eyes across this price action, we can see through here now. I'm just going to remove that Fibonacci so we can see it slightly more clearly. We can see this resistance level. Now, if I recircle this, let's just change the color of that there so we can see it marginally more clearly. We have this strong resistance test, great rejection there, strong support, broke, and most recently this retest here acting as resistance. So opportunities for the long here in euro dollar, where should we break through that resistance to continue towards the upside. Now, of course, that was a lovely looking trade, but where are you going to target? Natural targets become previous highs. Okay, most recently, if I pop that level in there on the hourly, let's turn that blue. If I see that previous high, we can see all of these candles, a big cluster of candles failing to close up above that level. So strong resistance for us in play. This market broke out, came up towards the highs and started to show signs, came up just shy of those previous highs up through there. Now, if we look back at this retrospectively, of course, easy in hindsight, drag that level down slightly and we can see the rejection of these highs here. So the absolute high not quite achieved, but interesting at this point for euro dollar, we're getting up there now towards that 119 handle, sat up at that 4 hour, that green resistance level up at the highs. But what we see in this channel is that loss of momentum. Now I'll turn this one red, which will highlight that initial loss. So we failed to get to the top of that channel. And then here now we are also, again, we're failing to get towards the top of that channel. That indicates that loss of momentum, and that's also reinforced then by creating this double top pattern. Double top, a reversal pattern, a break of the neckline, which would be the low between those two highs. So down at this one spot 1850 level could have signified further downside or potential downside pressure. That would also be a breakout of this channel. So multiple things going on here to suggest that perhaps this market could move lower. Now, in terms of trend itself, this high through here that I'm highlighting now, it never broke. So this here is not a relevant higher low. So should we see this move lower, then we're going to potentially see a move back down to the previous higher low, which naturally carries some significance. Now that previous higher low sat down here at one spot 1814, also fell excuse me, also fell in line with the MPO of the double top, just slightly shy of the MPO, which you take the minimum price objective, the height of that price pattern downwards, projected to where you believe that market may move to. Okay, now interestingly enough, all the way up through here, we had some lovely confirmation. They introduced those secondary moving averages, the 55 period moving average here in play. And we can see within that previous higher low here, clear support, dynamic support coming from that moving average. And then also here, still that red circle, we see that dynamic support coming in from the moving average. Again, it reinforced the long position, but adds increased confirmation for the potential short. Okay, that potential short being confirmed by the break of the neckline, the break of the trend line, the loss of momentum in the channel, and the break of that moving average. And of course, that 119 handle ever present at the highs. We'd also see a move back down through the 118.50 handle, which provided us with support for this previous bullish move higher. This market did sell off, found support in and around that 118.50 and the neckline. So again, seeking confirmation on this market moving lower. Now this was all slightly longer term trades. If we do pop ourselves down here into the smaller time frames and we come down into this 5-minute chart, so we've taken an overall bias towards a short position here in euro dollar based on all the analysis we've just been through. But if we can break this neckline here, it does open up potential further moves. Now I'm just going to play this through. We saw that trend line break. We saw this market sell off, and on this lower time frame here now, if I clear this up, we started to see a nicely established downtrend in the 5-minute. So we can now look to take sentiment from the larger time frame and potentially entries on the 5-minute charts to capture some of those smaller moves. So let's play this chart through and see what unfolded. We came back up to that 118.50 level. We tried to bounce off it. We continued higher again, and we ended up forming a lovely little price pattern here, and that is this. I have a 3-touch counter trend line, in this instance a counter trend line coming back against the major trend. Now the major trend here on the 5-minute is down, which we can see from this potential trend line here. Now, as we have that counter trend line in play, we can also look for that loss of momentum, which we see here as we fail to produce and we make equal highs. And this is in the form now of a rising wedge, which is a continuation price pattern. So again, looking for continuation of this downward move, we can go looking for entry confirmation through the relevant support level, which was here, support once, support twice, and look to then take this market short. Target wise, we know there's that big target down through here, that previous low. Let's remind ourselves, pop ourselves back out to that hourly chart. Let's just remind ourselves, there was that previous higher low, significant low. If that breaks, the uptrend, this major uptrend comes to an end, and we start to look a lot more bearish. Stay above that, and there's still opportunities for this market to rebound and continue higher. Now, in line with this, we're now in a trending market, so we can also look to introduce our Fibonacci. Let's just have a look and see on that last retracement, pop ourselves up, and we've failed up here in around that 38% region. Once, twice, didn't quite make our way up towards that 50%. If we take this fib from where the market move begun, we do find ourselves nicely up towards that 50-61% sell zone. Okay, so we're waiting for that support level to break. This wedge developing, there's that impulsive break that we see. Okay, impulsive break that we see out of this range. Marubozu, okay, clear, decisive, aggressive move lower, giving us great confirmation that this market could potentially break lower. And what's really interesting here is the support level that we placed through here was really well respected before it tested back and then broke lower. So clean technical moves here in euro dollar as we made our way down towards that hourly support level. So we had long-term trades here. Let's not forget those longer-term traders out there. The long-term double top here still in play, could have been short from the break of that neckline as we previously mentioned. Okay, so we're now back down to that support, and we started to see a reverse, the reverse situation unfold to where we had come from. We started to create back in this 5-minute chart, we started to create that bearish channel. Okay, I'm going to pop this in here now. Yeah, we're looking for multiple failures, multiple rejections between the trend line and the channel line. And that's what we could see here on this 5-minute. Now, as this market unfolded, we know at this point we're at key support. We know we're at key support, and we start to see that loss of momentum again. And here it is. Okay, we see this low here failing. And this is very similar again now to the hourly trend that we looked at. Let's redraw in this downtrend now. Our first high down to the low, our lower high down to the lower low. Here's that lower high down to the current low, and then we come up, we try and test this high, create this lower high, but the price fails to break. Okay, this price fails to break, so suggesting again loss of momentum, putting the favorable position here for a potential long should this break out. And that was very similar, you know, we're using exactly the same philosophy that we used for this bullish channel up through here. We failed, we created that double top. We've now broken down into this 5-minute bearish channel, which is also in line with a potential Fibonacci. Just taken from the low to the high, this pullback perfectly testing, can see there that 50% retracement level. So strong support level, and that now being reflected, we come back into that 5-minute with that potential double top formation that we are seeing here. Now, since then, this market has broken out. It retested the trend line, broke through the previous 4-hour resistance, and this market now has had a really aggressive and impulsive move to the top side. Now, cleaning some of these levels and just having a look through to where we are right now. Let's remove that replay. This is the current chart. Okay, so we can see that impulsive move that we had out of that bullish channel. We came right the way back up. Excellent resistance zone, back up towards where this all started off for us, in and around that 119 handle, strong 3-touch resistance. And today we saw a natural corrective move, a small retracement lower, before ultimately finding ourselves back at that 118.50 handle, that big psychological round number again, before bouncing and continuing higher. And euro dollar here now looking fairly good to potentially come back and test these highs again. Okay, so euro dollar there, a bit of a review of the overall week of trading. Okay, plenty of opportunities to have been long through the first half of the week, short positions through middle end of the week, and now coming into Friday today, opportunities again for some buy signals coming in late last night, and 10:30, 11 o'clock this morning, opportunities to have got long again in euro dollar. Okay, so there we are, a deep dive into euro dollar, a fundamentally driven asset, but also clear technicals in play. That's all from us here this week at LAT. Please do join us again, same time next week for another weekly market insights.